It happens in the quiet hours. You're asleep. The house is dark. And then, the soft weight. A small, warm pressure settling onto your chest, or the foot of the bed, or right beside your shoulder, close enough to feel your breath. You didn't call them over. You didn't make a sound. You weren't even awake. But they found you anyway. Maybe it happens every night. Maybe it's been happening for years. And you've probably smiled about it, maybe even posted a photo. Called it cute. Called it sweet. But here's what nobody has ever told you. That moment, that simple act of your cat choosing to sleep beside you, carries more psychological weight than almost anything else your cat will ever do. And what it means will change the way you see them forever. Most people think cats sleep with you because it's warm, because your bed is comfortable, because you happen to be a convenient heat source and nothing more. But that's not the whole story. Not even close. The warmth theory feels logical. Cats do love warmth. But here's what it fails to explain. Why does your cat specifically choose you? Why your shoulder over a heated blanket? Why your chest over a warm spot by the radiator that's been sitting empty all day? Because what scientists now understand about feline sleep behavior goes far deeper than temperature. It goes into the architecture of trust, into how a cat's brain processes safety, into a bond that took 10,000 years to evolve, and that your cat is actively renewing with you every single time they close their eyes in your presence. By the end of this, you'll understand exactly what your cat has been saying to you all along, in a language you never knew how to read. Let's start with the science of what your cat actually feels about you. Because for decades, the popular assumption was that cats are fundamentally indifferent, that they tolerate you, that they stay for the food, not the connection. In 2019, researchers at Oregon State University ran a study that should have made headlines far louder than it did. Led by behavioral scientist Kristen Vitale, the team studied 108 cats, both kittens and adults, using a method called the secure base test. This is the same test developmental psychologists use to measure emotional attachment in human infants. Here's what happened. Each cat was placed in a new room with their owner for 2 minutes, left alone briefly, then reunited. The researchers watched carefully. How the cat responded to that reunion told them everything. And what they found stopped the academic world cold. 65% of cats showed what psychologists classify as secure attachment to their owners. That number exactly mirrors the percentage seen in human infants. Exactly. What this means for you is enormous. That cat walking back to you calmly, glancing at you, then going back to exploring the room, that is not aloofness. That is a securely attached being. They checked on you. They knew you were there. They felt safe. Here's the myth we can put to rest right now. The idea that cats are loners who merely tolerate human presence. The data says otherwise. The majority of cats actively use their owners as a source of emotional security. You were right to notice the bond. You just didn't have the language for it. You've seen this. Maybe last Tuesday. You'd had a hard day. Nothing catastrophic. Just the slow grind of stress that settles in your shoulders by evening. You came home, dropped your bag, maybe sat on the couch with a heaviness you didn't quite have words for. And your cat, who had been somewhere in the house, probably asleep, probably nowhere near you, appeared, crossed the room quietly, stepped up beside you, and lay down so close that you could feel the rise and fall of their breathing. You didn't call them. You didn't feed them. You just sat there. And so did they. Now here's where the science speaks directly to that moment. Researchers at Tokyo University of Agriculture, studying 32 cat owners in 2021, found that interactions with cats trigger elevated oxytocin. That's your bonding hormone, in both the owner and the cat. This response is not random. It is mutual. It flows in both directions. The common misconception here is that your cat came over because they sensed something, that they're empathic the way a therapist would be. The truth is more specific than that. They came because you are their secure base. You are their safe place. Your cat doesn't come to comfort you. They come because being near you is their comfort. Now let's go deeper. Because sleep is not just rest for your cat. Sleep is when a cat is at their most vulnerable. Think about what that means biologically. Cats sleep an average of 12 to 16 hours a day, which means they spend roughly 60% of their entire lives in a state where their defenses are down, where they cannot run, where they cannot fight, where they are, in the truest evolutionary sense, exposed. For a small predator that is also prey to larger animals, every sleeping decision is a survival calculation. Not consciously, instinctively. The nervous system is always asking, is this place safe enough to let my guard down? In 2025, a landmark study published in Current Biology, led by researchers at Ruhr University Bochum in Germany and involving analysis of 301 cats, found something remarkable about feline sleep lateralization. That's a fancy way of saying which side cats prefer to sleep on. Two-thirds of cats consistently sleep on their left side. This gives their left visual field, controlled by the right hemisphere of the brain, the threat detection hemisphere, the widest possible view of the room upon waking. Think of it like a security camera positioned to cover the most vulnerable angle. Even in deep sleep, a cat's nervous system is optimizing for survival. Now here is where the popular advice completely falls apart. You've probably heard that if your cat sleeps at the foot of your bed, it means they don't fully trust you. That closer is better. That position equals affection. The science says this is not accurate. Where your cat chooses to sleep near you is less about emotional ranking and more about thread geometry. The foot of the bed may give them the clearest sight line to the door. The chest may feel the most enclosed and protected. Position isn't hierarchy. Position is strategy. Here is the part of this story that stops me every time. 10,000 years ago, in a region of the Middle East we now call the Fertile Crescent, the very cradle of human civilization, wild cats began to make a choice. Not because humans hunted them down, not because they were captured and bred, but because they looked at human settlement and something in them decided, I will go closer. We know this from genetics. We know this from an extraordinary 9,500-year-old burial site in Cyprus, where a human was laid to rest alongside a cat, placed in its own grave, just 40 centimeters away, side by side. Even then, unlike every other animal we call domesticated, the cat was never truly tamed. They came to us. They chose proximity. They chose the warmth of the fire, the safety of the wall, the shelter of the human world. And over 10 millennia, that original wild cat became the one now sleeping on your pillow. Your cat is the descendant of an animal that chose humans, not once, but across hundreds of generations. When your cat closes their eyes beside you, they are completing a 10,000-year-old decision. Every night they return to you, they are not simply finding warmth. They are renewing a contract their ancestors signed in the ancient dark, long before either of us had words for what it meant to trust another species with your sleep. So what do you do with all of this? Understanding the psychology behind your cat's sleep behavior isn't just fascinating. It gives you specific, science-backed ways to strengthen that bond. Here are 3 things you can do differently starting tonight. First, stop redirecting your cat when they choose where to sleep near you. We know from the Ruhr University lateralization research that your cat's sleeping position near you is a calculated security choice, not a sign of emotional distance or preference. If they choose the foot of the bed, let them. Don't interpret placement as a ranking of your relationship. Let them complete their own security geometry. Second, pay attention to the first time your cat chooses to sleep near you after a period of stress or disruption, a move, a house guest, a change in routine. That return to you is the clearest signal that their secure attachment, identified in the Oregon State University research, is still intact. It is a deliberate gesture. Acknowledge it quietly. Let it land. Third, engage in calm, low-stimulation contact in the 30 minutes before you sleep. Research from Tokyo University of Agriculture found that mutual bonding hormones are most responsive during relaxed, non-demanding interaction. You don't need to play or entertain. Simply being present, reading, resting, allowing proximity, is the most powerful bonding activity available to you. One important warning: if a cat that reliably slept near you suddenly stops, not gradually, but abruptly, take note. This behavioral shift can be an early indicator of physical discomfort or significant psychological stress. Don't dismiss it. It is your cat communicating in the only language they have. Think back to those quiet hours. The dark house. The soft weight settling beside you while you slept. You thought it was simple. You thought it was just warmth, just habit, just a cat being a cat. But now you know what was actually happening in that moment. A nervous system evolved over 10,000 years was running its deepest safety calculation and arriving at you. A bonding hormone was rising in both your bloodstreams simultaneously. A secure attachment, indistinguishable in structure from the one between a mother and her child, was being quietly renewed in the dark. All of it. every night, without a single word. Your cat does not need language to tell you that you are safe, that you are chosen, that you matter, because every time they close their eyes beside you, they have already said it in the most ancient way any living creature can. If this changed how you see your cat, subscribe and drop a comment below. Where does your cat sleep near you? And has that spot ever changed? Next time, we explore something about your cat's eyes that scientists only recently discovered, and it rewrites everything you thought you knew about how they actually see you.